In 2021, Hyundai released the IONIQ 5, and it was a massive, massive success. A fantastic car with futuristic but retro styling, plenty of space inside, and it charged like lightning. We had one, and I absolutely loved it. Now, as great as the IONIQ 5 was, it was not the most efficient car on earth. In fact, it was shaped like a brick. A beautiful looking brick, but it was shaped like a brick, which means that it wasn't very efficient. You didn't get that many miles out of its battery. And that's why we have this. It's a slippery, slightly odd looking car, much more aerodynamic, but with hopefully all the great stuff that made the IONIQ 5 so popular. So here is the IONIQ 6. Can it live up to the expectations set by the IONIQ 5? And why does it look like that? Okay, let's look at the design, and there's actually quite a lot to talk about because it's a really unusual looking car, isn't it? You don't see very many cars that look like this these days. Obviously it's got Porsche vibes, kind of a chubby Porsche. In fact, it's what you'd get if you mated a Porsche with a slug or some sort of insect. It's got a weird look to it. Now, some people will look at this and they'll say, my God, that looks cool. Others will be repulsed by it. And I've heard both viewpoints from various people in the past couple of days. Personally, I think it looks unique and striking, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of liking it now. I wouldn't say I love it. When I first saw it, back when it was released, I thought, my God, what is that? And I also thought, my God, what have they done? Because this is based on the Prophecy concept, and the silhouette of this is pretty much identical, actually. What they have done is added lots of bits to the Prophecy concept. They looked at that and they thought, well, that looks cool. We'll use the silhouette. But yeah, let's make it more fussy. So that's effectively what they've done. But you know, it looks different, it looks striking, it looks unique, and we need more unique cars on the road. So at the front of the car, it looks its most insect-like, I think, especially because we've got these little pixel motifs everywhere, which is pretty much the only link really to the design language of the IONIQ 5, because the IONIQ 5 was quite a big, sharp-looking, quite retro car. This pixel motif, which is in the lights, and it's also down there, all these little squares. That's pretty much the only thing that links this with the IONIQ 5. They don't really share very much else in terms of design language. And in fact, I wonder whether it's even necessary, to be honest. But this pixel motif in the lights make it look even more bug-like, almost like a bee's eyes or something. Anyway, it's very swoopy, it looks aerodynamic, it looks different. Actually, I quite like the fact it looks different. What you can see from this angle, better than any other, really, is just how slippery this car is. It's got an extremely good drag coefficient of 0.21, which means it cuts through the air and it makes it more efficient than most other cars. It's ironic with EVs that so many of them are big, chunky SUVs. And the only way to get those big, chunky SUVs to do any decent mileage is by putting in a massive, heavy battery inside it. So really, we should be striving for efficiency. Now, the problem with this slippery shape is you'll see that it tails off a lot at the back. So we'll see later whether that impedes headroom and the space in the boot. But I do like the fact that Hyundai have actually prioritised efficiency for this. And while we're on the subject of efficiency, this does have a heat pump as standard, thankfully. Thank you, Hyundai. We at Kia don't do that, but Hyundai do seem to put heat pumps as standard in their EVs, including the tiny little Insta, which is coming out soon. So that's great. It means they've ticked every box they can to make this as efficient as possible. You'll notice this doesn't have conventional side mirrors. This has digital side mirrors. This is an option. I'm not sure it's really worth it. I find them a little bit strange. I'll show you when we go out for a drive. But my only thought is, if that gets damaged, I bet it's going to cost an absolute fortune to fix. What you're getting from that is a little bit of an extra efficiency boost, but I'm not sure it's really worth it for the added cost. This has a 77 kilowatt hour battery, and apparently it does 338 miles WLTP. I used to think the back was so ugly on this, but actually I've warmed to it. And I just think it's nice that we've got a car that's distinctive. I struggle. I stand around and I talk about cars quite often, and it's very rare that I can think of anything to talk about because so many cars look exactly the same. This is different, and you might not want to be driving around in a car that looks so different, but I think, you know, it's nice that we have something that looks a bit interesting. So you can see we've got these two lips, again, all helps with efficiency. You've got the pixel effect here, funky IONIQ 6 here. You've got this kind of massive diffuser at the back, pixel motif in the brake lights as well. It just looks different, doesn't it? Is different good? Now, although I've said that I like the fact it looks interesting, it does also look very fussy. It's like they really didn't want to make it look like a Porsche. So they've thrown everything at it that they possibly can. And it looks a little bit messy, I think. So a bit too fussy. I mean, I don't know what this little shape here is all about. Now, we're due to get a facelift of the IONIQ 6. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. I think they're going to simplify it a little bit more. So yes, it's a slightly odd looking car, but I like the fact it's so distinctive. My daughter, however, who just wants to disappear most of the time, she was mortified that I was going to take her to school in this.
Papa, I don't want to go to school in this car.
Why not?
Because it's too posh. It's like you're showing off.
And it's funny because we went to school in a Tesla Model 3 recently, the refreshed one, and she had no problem with that. You see Tesla Model 3s everywhere. It's so common. Whereas this, I very, very rarely see it, maybe one a month or something. Should we look in the boot? You can already see the way it slopes down. It's not going to be great in here, is it? It's not a hatch, it is a saloon. Yeah, it's not massive. Now you can see the opening is pretty shallow, it's pretty tight, isn't it? It goes back a little bit of a way, but it doesn't feel as capacious as like the Tesla Model 3, for instance, which has a similar sort of opening. Where the Tesla Model 3 has lots of space under here, in here you really don't. You can remove that and you have a bit of extra space down there, but it's really not much at all. So you can see we can... Oh, that's as far back as that goes. That feels like it's catching on something, but maybe with a big shove that will go back. So yeah, not massive. You don't have very much space there left. If I just try putting them like that, is that going to work? Don't think it is. Oh, yeah, kind of does. I mean, you can play Tetris as much as you want. Don't think the boot's going to close on that though. We might be lucky. No, okay, it does. So you get a 446 litre boot. With the rear wheel drive version like this one, you get 30 litres less if you go for the all-wheel drive, so only 416 litres with that one. But you don't want to know litres, who cares about litres? Let's use the tape measure and find out what it's like. So we've got 110 centimetres of depth, 105 centimetres width, 46, let's say 45. An extra 15 centimetres height and about 55 centimetres width down there. You'll see, by the way, that this is where you can keep your granny charger and the tyre mobility kit. And if you want to tow in this, it's 1,500 kilograms. What is slightly odd is that it seems to be missing a vehicle to load adapter, but I used that a few times with the IONIQ 5. It allows you to plug any normal plug into the Type 2 socket on the side of the car. This car does have vehicle to load and it does have a 3-pin socket inside, but it's weird that the external adapter doesn't come with it. I think it did in the first edition IONIQ 6, which is no longer available. If you get a used first edition, then it would have it. Weird that it's missing. And it's an expensive car, so come on Hyundai, you could at least include it, right? Charging is where the IONIQ 6 and IONIQ 5 absolutely shine. They're built on an 800-volt architecture that Hyundai have developed, the eGMP platform. It's the same thing that underpins all of Kia's modern cars as well. But being 800 volts, it means that it charges extremely fast. So this is the CCS port. This will charge at a maximum of 239 kilowatts, which is incredibly fast. So it means you're getting about 10 to 80% in around the 18-minute mark. In fact, a bit less than that. It's fantastic. And it does also have 11 kilowatts AC charging. So let's talk prices. You've got two trim levels, premium or ultimate. The premium is £47,040. The ultimate spec, which is the one I've got here, is £50,540. So it's a lovely open feeling cabin in here, despite the fact that they've tried to make it feel a little bit sportier than the IONIQ 5 by having this center console all the way here. So you feel a little bit more like you're in a cockpit, but not too much. It's still open. This center console doesn't interfere with my knee at all, so that's a great thing. You've got a couple of cup holders here. If you look down here, you can see we have a couple of USB-Cs. It's decent for storage as well because you've got all of this space down here. I quite like these open things. It's quite good for just dumping stuff. And down here you've got all the controls for your side mirrors, so you can change the position of those, open the charging flap, the boot, turn off stability, and a blanked out one. I'm not sure that's one. But in terms of materials, you've got some interesting plastics in here, but it is still quite plasticky, given it's, you know, this is the ultimate trim. It's not a cheap car. There's no piano black, so that's a fantastic thing. They've gone with lots of interesting looking plastics, but it is still plastic. It doesn't feel plush. You've got a fabric headliner, which is nice, but there's not any fabrics going on elsewhere as far as I can see. Soft touch plastics up here. But that said, I think it all looks very clean and tasteful. In this ultimate spec, you have eco leather. You get fabric seats in the premium spec. Plenty of seat adjustment here. Obviously all the usual stuff, your lumbar support. And you also have relaxation seats. Great if you're charging and you want to have a little nap for 18 minutes. What I've always appreciated about Kia and Hyundai cars is that you have a balance between the touchscreen and actual physical buttons. I like physical buttons. So you can see you've got buttons for all the main stuff like mapping and the media. You've got a star button, which is like a favourites button. So when I press that, it goes to CarPlay, but you can configure it to whatever. Your parking sensors and all of that, and radio tuning and that kind of thing. All your climate controls are down here. Now this is a little bit annoying because it is kind of touch screeny, and I prefer some haptic feedback, but you don't get that. But still, it's very clear. And you can see it split into two, so you've got climate controls for the driver and for the passengers. But it's all pretty clear, and this is all the same really as the IONIQ 5 that I had. Down here you've got wireless charging, you've got a USB-A socket, interestingly. Interesting because elsewhere it's all USB-C, but the only USB-A is up here, and this is the one that you connect your phone to for CarPlay or Android Auto. This doesn't have wireless CarPlay or Android Auto. So it's a very open feeling cabin in here. And admittedly, this is a little bit widescreen, this camera. So perhaps it's forcing the effect a little bit too much, but it does feel lovely in here, I think. This ultimate spec also has a sunroof, and it is a tilt and slide one. It does open like that. Would be nice if it was a panoramic sunroof, so it goes all the way back. Like it does in the Tesla Model 3. That would be nice. Especially with the sunroof, you do get a real open feel in here, which is lovely. And especially with all the light colours, because I really like all the light colours inside the car as well. It just, yeah, it feels very spacey and loungy. Even though for some reason my daughter didn't like the white seat belts. I'm not sure why.
Oh, those seat belts are white. Ugh.
So that's the camera mirror. The quality is pretty good, really, but it's just a little bit strange because my eye automatically goes there because that's how it is in every other car. So you're kind of looking, you first look there and then you dart back down to there. Now it's something you probably get used to, but I just don't see the point. Perhaps this is better, maybe these don't get fogged up as much, or I don't know. I'm not sure what the benefits are, to be honest, but I just don't see the point. It's unnecessary complication, I think. Here's the dash, and as always with Hyundai Kia cars, I just find all of this is perfect. I'll tell you why. You've got the odometer, you've got the range. Temperature, you've got your regen setting here, which you can change with the paddles. So you can go up to level 3 or max, and then that turns on iPedal. iPedal is one pedal driving, which I really like. It's not always great when you've got passengers because it can feel a little bit jerky, but I really like it. So you've got every option you could possibly want in here in terms of regen, none or maximum. So here's the infotainment screen. Now you'll see it's pretty jerky, really. It surprises me, and maybe the IONIQ 5 was the same, but it's not the most responsive thing, is it? You see the delay when I press that? Yeah, I mean, that's not brilliant, is it? But anyway, you've got lots of options in here, which I'm not going to go through. But what I would say is you do get heated and ventilated seats, but you do have to go into a menu to do that. And you do have them in the rear as well. heated seats at least, and heated steering wheel. But yes, you do have to go through on here. You can probably use the voice command to turn them on as well, although I haven't tried that yet. On the steering wheel, just looking at the steering wheel, it's, you know, lovely feeling steering wheel, I think. These are LED lights. They're all blue. I don't know why they're flashing like mad on the screen. You can select your drive mode here. Then you've got Eco, Normal, Sport, and you can hold it down and you get Snow. I just tend to use Eco most of the time because it's fast enough for me. But let's look at the mapping, because that's a big thing, right? And I'm going to go to Edinburgh. And Edinburgh's quite a distance away from me, so let's see if it recommends charging stops. Set as destination. Okay, here we go. So that's really good. It's telling me it's going to take...
The route guidance will start now.
No, wait. How do I get back to that? So that's telling me to stop at this IONIQ for 23 minutes and then grid serve for 21 minutes. So that's great that it does all the mapping for you. And what's fantastic is this has a HUD, a bit out of focus, sorry. So it tells you which way you have to go, tells you your speed, and I love using that, but you only get that when you're using the inbuilt mapping, not when you're using CarPlay. Masses of knee room here. And it's odd really, because I kind of feel like they should have brought these seats forward and given a little bit more boot. But anyway, it feels very, very open in here, masses of space. In terms of headroom, it's pretty tight actually. So if I sit right back here, I have really just an inch maybe of headroom there. I'm right up to that. For anyone that's tall, you would not enjoy being a passenger, unfortunately, at the back of this. There is just so little headroom. Tiny sliver of space I've got there if I'm sat upright with my bum right at the back. Fine for me, I wouldn't have a problem, but others might, and you would end up perhaps being a bit like that. But yeah, loads of space. Yeah, you've got two USB-Cs here. If I pull that down, a couple of drinks holders there. Got your little light there, you've got a little clothes hook. Map holders or whatever these are. And you've got buttons for bothering the person in front if you want to squash their seat down or move it forward and back and things like that. But yeah, in terms of space, it's pretty good. And yet you do have heated seats, and you do actually have physical controls for those heated seats on the back here. And if I put down the window, it goes down quite a long way, I suppose, just a little bit there. When you're driving along, I've noticed this. You've got this speaker, I'm assuming, at the back, and it reflects onto the glass. It's not a problem necessarily. It looks kind of cool, I think, but something to be aware of. So overall, lovely and spacey, but really not enough headroom for anyone that's tall. And while we're in the back, let's talk about vehicle to load quickly. So this is one of my favourite features. Vehicle to load is a wonderful thing, and it means that I can plug anything, really. Heaters, toasters, kettles, whatever you can think of, you can plug it into this 16 amp socket, and you'll see just down here, is it locked? It's bloody locked, isn't it? It's locked. So I've got to unlock that. In fact, here's an opportunity to show you the keys. This bit seems quite nice. This bit has to be one of the ugliest keys I've ever seen. I mean, it's enormous. It looks like a UFO or something. Anyway, we need this bit. My camera battery has run out, so let's plug in that. And there it is. The car is charging my battery. So obviously that's just a camera battery. Imagine if you had a power cut at home. In fact, I did yesterday. If you have a power cut at home and you want to power your fridge or freezer or whatever else, you just plug it into the car. Before you go anywhere in the IONIQ 6, you're going to want to do this. Go to your settings, go to Vehicle, go to Speed Limit, and turn off the speed limit warning. Some people are going to complain now and they're going to say, why are you recommending you turn off a warning to keep people safe? It doesn't keep you safe. It's really annoying. It's a beep that you get. If you don't do that, you get a beep if you go 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. Now, I'm not condoning anyone breaks the speed limit, but you've got to think that cars are always less than the actual speed anyway. The Kias also share the same affliction, but the Kia EV9 and the EV3, what you can do is you can hold down on the volume button here, hold down on that, and that's a quick way of turning it off. It could be that there's a software update for this that hasn't been applied, and perhaps that will do the same thing. So for the moment, at least in this press car that I've got, it doesn't. You've got to go through that menu, and it's really, really bloody annoying. So what is the IONIQ 6 like to drive? Now, coming from the IONIQ 5, which was a wafty car, it was so comfortable. This is still comfortable, but the suspension certainly feels firmer than what I remember of the IONIQ 5. It gives it, I suppose you could argue, it gives it a more engaging drive. It's supposedly sportier, but definitely over the bumps, of which there are many in the UK, it certainly is a bit more juddery. But it's very quiet in the cabin. You can hear a little bit of road noise. I can't hear any noise from the, maybe I'm not going fast enough, but I can't hear any noise from the side mirrors. Perhaps that's a benefit from having the cameras. But it's very quiet in here. And it's lovely to drive, and of course it's not an SUV, so you don't get any body roll. It's you know, sticks to the road quite nicely. This is rear wheel drive, so it feels lovely to drive anyway. This is 7.4 seconds to 62 miles an hour. It's 5.1 seconds in the all-wheel drive version. 7.4 seconds is more than enough for me and everyone, I would have thought. It still feels nice and punchy, even in eco mode. Now, obviously I spent a lot of time in this video talking about efficiency, and I can't really tell you how efficient it is at the moment because I haven't done a decent journey. Doing all of this sort of low speed driving, it's quite a heavy car, and I wonder whether that's the best place for it. I think this will really sing when it's on the motorway. That's my hope anyway. As it stands, I've only got 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty rubbish really, given I've only driven 7.3 miles. I'm going to do a long journey in a couple of days, so this is the point where I splice in that bit of video. I'm going to go 100 miles to a meeting. It should take about 2 hours, probably 3 by the time I hit the traffic, and we'll see just how efficient this car is. Is it going to be more efficient than my Kia e-Niro? Because that's already a pretty efficient car. I'm leaving with 69% battery, and it says I've got 189 miles of range and 105 miles there, so in theory that should be absolutely fine, shouldn't it? As you can see, it's 189 miles at the moment. If I go to auto, that's how much it's reduced by. It does have a heat pump actually in this car, so it should be relatively efficient really. The other reason I wanted to use the inbuilt sat nav is because it means I have the HUD, and I've got directions on the HUD, so that's nice. Just going to see on this route guidance what it thinks I'm going to get there with. Just not sure if it says actually. Route options. Yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't tell you what percentage you're going to get to a route with, annoyingly. If you have to charge somewhere, then it'll tell you how much you'll have to charge up to. But it doesn't actually tell me what it expects me to get by the time I get there. It's a bit annoying. Right, I'm going to try the voice commands on here then and see how good it is. Play BBC 6 music.
You are listening to the radio.
So, you are listening to the radio, it says, and it's playing Magic Radio, not BBC 6 music. Play the radio station, BBC 6 music.
You are listening to the radio.
No. Still Magic. Play Radio 6 music.
You are listening to the radio.
Maybe I should ask it to play Magic Radio. And
Now leave the roundabout.
maybe it'll then play 6 music. Play Magic Radio.
3 search results are available. Which station do you want to listen to?
6 music, none of them.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
No, of course he didn't.
Sorry, I still did not understand
All
you.
right, okay, go away, go away, go away. Yeah, a resounding success there then. Okay, so if I go to media, BBC Radio 6 music. Oh, that is what I said, right? Okay, you know what? It's doing okay. It's doing okay, but I don't trust it fully. I like Apple Maps. I like having Apple Maps. So, route guidance, cancelled. Apple Maps just sounds better, looks better. And yeah, I probably trust its directions a little bit more. But it does mean that I don't have the HUD now. I can't see directions in the HUD, which is a shame. Apple Maps is also saying 10:39, so at least the Hyundai system was consistent with that. Now we're on the motorway. I'm going to turn on cruise control, so it's got advanced cruise control, which means that it will keep you regulated with the car in front, which is great. All you got to do is press the top left button. It's now set to 71 miles an hour. You can push that up if you want with that little button here, so I'm on 72 now. Depending on how far up the other car you want to drive, I know some people are a little bit more aggressive, then you can press the button on the bottom left and change the distance. So I've got it at 2 now, so it'll keep fairly close, but not too close. I don't like driving up people's bottoms particularly. Anyway, so far I've been driving an hour. Efficiency, and here's the thing, efficiency is only 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour. And if I was in the e-Niro, I would expect on the high 3s, if not 4, based on the journey I've been doing so far. Now it could be that the Niro is more efficient at lower speeds and kind of just doing sort of country roads, things like that. Now I'm doing 70, or I should be doing 70, but I'm actually doing 60 at the moment because I'm talking and I don't want to drive too fast at the moment. It could be that this will then, the efficiency will improve over a greater distance, given that this is such a slippery aerodynamic car. But so far, it's a bit underwhelming really with efficiency. I always go on about the e-Niro, but it is so good and it's so efficient. And I don't understand why this wouldn't be more efficient given the body shape. But it is bigger, it is heavier, so that makes a difference obviously. Okay, and let's just talk quickly about the side mirrors then. Obviously with digital side mirrors you have the advantage of being able to put stuff on the screens, of course. Now, you've obviously got the blind spot warning triangle, but you've also got a red line and you've got an amber line, and I think that's its way of telling you that if a car is in like the red line, then you really don't want to move into that lane. If it's amber, then just be careful. I think that's what it means anyway. I am kind of used to them now. When I first got the car, I kept looking up at where the side mirrors should be, and then you don't see anything, you just see the camera sticking out. So my eye is used to now going down a little bit, but it's not better in any way as far as I can tell, and I wouldn't see the point, personally I wouldn't see the point in optioning those. It's just change for the sake of it really. A bit like Tesla with the lack of stalks now. But you know, thankfully it's an option. Turn on heated steering wheel.
Turning on the heated steering wheel.
Well, that worked. So I've been driving for over 2 hours now, and I've got to say that my back feels absolutely fine. The seat is pretty comfortable. It's got lumbar support, and yeah, I noticed I haven't been doing this very much, and certainly not going oh. So yeah, no, it's a comfortable driving position, I think. If I want to test the speakers in the car, I tend to use the album Leftism by Leftfield because it's fantastic. And actually, yes, this sound system is pretty good. It sings, in fact, with the Leftism. Lots of bass, lots of cool sounds and everything. It's not quite as enveloping as I would like. It's not quite as immersive as the new Tesla Model 3. It has a really immersive sound system, I think. But this is pretty good. Not too much distortion at loud volume. It sounds good. So that's in this is the ultimate spec. I'm talking about the Bose system. I don't know what it's like in the premium, but it won't be quite as good as this. Well, I'm normally absolutely terrible at parallel parking, so I'm so glad that was filming myself being all right. Let's see, we've got 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. It was a 2.5 hour trip, although some of that was just me probably sat in the car, not talking, so it's not all driving. And 101.7 miles. 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. It's okay, but not as good as what I would get in my Kia e-Niro. I think that's the best parallel parking I've ever done. So what do I think of the IONIQ 6? Well, as I said in the intro, I love the IONIQ 5, and this is so similar. it's difficult not to love it as well. But we've got to talk about practicality, because that boot isn't practical at all. I have a problem with the Tesla Model 3 because it's not a hatchback, and I have the same problem with this. It's just less practical. There's less space in there. There's not even any space under the floor. So that, I think, is a little bit of a problem. Everything else about the car I actually really like. It's a bit cockpity in the front, but just still loungy enough. You've got plenty of storage space in there. It's a pretty big car, but it's not too big, I think. I like the fact that they're going for efficiency, although frankly it's no more efficient than our Kia e-Niro, which admittedly is a smaller car. But what you do get with this is a comfortable car. You get an amazing charging speed, and really with the IONIQ 5 that we had, the charging speed was just ridiculous. I drove down to Italy in the IONIQ 5 and I actually found it charged too fast, because I would go for a burger at Burger King and then the car was already at 100% by the time I was still in the queue. And this is the same platform, so it's just as fast as the IONIQ 5, and that is incredibly quick. So if you have any reservations about getting an EV because of the charging speed, that kind of fades away with this. It's so good. This platform that Hyundai have built is so good. So charging speed is fantastic. The looks, I think, are quite cool. It's quite distinctive. I wouldn't say it's a pretty car, but it's certainly striking. Wouldn't it be great to see an estate station wagon version of this? Because then you would have a far more usable boot. You'd have roughly the same efficiency. It would still be pretty slippery. That would be a winner, I think. What is interesting is that Kia and Hyundai are sister companies. Kia's EV4 is available in saloon and hatchback versions. I wonder whether Hyundai will do the same with this. We're due a refresh any moment. It would be interesting to see whether they do a hatch version. I think it will sell better. It'll be certainly more practical. And maybe that will give the IONIQ 6 the attention it deserves. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please press the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of other videos. And I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.